Good afternoon to one and all present here. Welcome to the Exceller Author Podcast. We are honored to have Pastor Ben Ochieng, a dynamic leader and author, joining us today to discuss his new book, The New Era of Leaderless Leadership, published by Exceller Books. The book talks about an innovative approach that distributes authority among all members, challenging traditional hierarchies and set norms. Pastor Ben is a CPA associate pastor at Rock Fellowship Ministries, Kenya, an audit manager at Crowe Erastus and Company. With his background in finance and banking, he is a member of ICPAK and KIM. His book draws from his faith and professional expertise, advocating for servant leadership and collective empowerment. So, my first question to you, sir, would be, what inspired you to write The New Era of Leaderless Leadership? Drawing from the movements like Leaderless Resistance and Occupy Wall Street to promote distributed authority and inclusivity. What was the inspiration behind the book?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I'm
Pleasure.
grateful to be here. Yes, what inspired me? What I can say is that the inspiration came from watching global and local trends, if you may say, or movements evolve without central leaders or central leadership, and yet influencing governments, influencing institutions and systems. As someone who has lived through, you may recall just in the recent past in Kenya, we had a Gen Z uprising or protest in 2024. And there was hashtag Occupy Parliament movement. There was hashtag Occupy Churches. Hashtag Occupy Parliament movement was about bringing sanity in Parliament for proper bills to be passed and at least for quality policies. And hashtag Occupy Churches was about trying to bring some spiritual discipline even in places of worship, because most politicians could go to these places and they are given podium and platform and they could, speak not so well as people of that caliber. And so just those examples and witnessing all other kind of movements across the globe, which are detailed in the book. For example, the Arab Spring in the northern part of Africa, the continent that I am, and even noticing some decentralized digital communities as already discussed in the book, like Linux. And I realized something profound. So leadership today is no longer a throne. It is a table. And these movements showed me exactly that. That one, people now gravitate for shared power, shared responsibility, and shared voice. Technology also is playing a very major role, has allowed for the coordination without hierarchy. And three, young people intuitively reject the big man syndrome that is envisioned by most leadership scenarios. Yes.
Really like
Thank
the
you.
statement that you just put forward. My pleasure. That leadership is no longer a throne; it's a table. It's a big thing to say, especially people who are in those positions. Maybe people who are at the grassroots level think that way, but when people move towards the so-called thrones, they sort of forget that it's not a throne; it's a table. So it's a very powerful statement to make. So my second question to you would
Yeah,
be,
it is.
as an audit manager in ICPAK member and associate pastor, how do your experiences in finance, faith, and ministry shape this innovative model of collective decision making and resilience?
Thank you very much once again.
Pleasure, sir.
My entire life is a fusion of all those that you have correctly highlighted, which is also described in my book. So one, finance and corporate governance as an auditor, where accountability, transparency, structure, risk discipline shape every kind of decision. Faith and ministry as a pastor, where servant leadership, compassion, and moral integrity guide how we influence others, and not just as followers, but also as co-workers in the kingdom of God. And as a community leader, because basically that's who I am. I may not be a national leader because of lacking a national platform, but in my little spheres here and there, I position myself as a community leader where every day people demonstrate the leadership in a shared responsibility, in the sense of what I believe in, how people should be handled, how I should be accountable and responsible. And that is very well anchored in finance, because that taught me order. In faith, that taught me humility. And in ministry, that taught me people. People are resources. And so we must handle them with care. We must handle them with decorum, because the far someone can go is by the network that you keep. And so leadership is not about holding power, holding on to power, but it is about releasing it. You know, it is quite lonely at the top. So the higher you go, the better you come along with a handful of people, not just to be at the top alone. Yeah. Thank you.
I think my pleasure again. Your author bio and your book description told me that you draw whatever you wrote in the book, you draw that from your faith and then also from your expertise. And now I think now I can see how you bridge the two beautifully, because I think what one learns from one's faith is what makes them into a better human being. And unless you become a better human being, you cannot become a better leader. I think that's what I could fathom from what you just said. And it's a really fresh take on leadership, because most people
Yes.
don't view leadership from that angle.
Yes, and you are very correct.
So
And
it's
just to mention something, one's faith, and so the faith I profess, if I may just quote, because the book quotes some kind of scriptures, but just allow me quote
yeah,
one.
sure, sir.
Matthew chapter 20, verse 26, which says, whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant. Right. So you can proceed.
Very, very powerful. Um, if I had
Yeah.
more time, I would have liked to hear more of the quotations, but yeah, it's really moving. I would myself look into some of those. Uh, so my third,
It's okay.
so my third question to you would be: the book emphasizes on valuing diverse perspectives, the collaboration and change. Could you share a real world example from your career or the Rock Fellowship Ministries that illustrate the concept of leaderless leadership in action?
Yes, for sure. So in that book, there is a foreword that has been written by an advocate of the High Court of the Republic of Kenya, and he brings in a concept. And in that concept, he reminds the reader that how him and I met in a particular scenario where we were involved in an investment company, and some Kenya shillings 14 billion of worth of investment were at stake or in dispute from 2023 to date. And so there I served as one of the 7-member committee, investment committee, which I still do serve. It's called the um we say CRC, but it's basically an investment restructuring committee, and each one of us has a role. Him, he's a lawyer. He's our legal representative. Myself, I come from a financial background. There is another one who comes from banking background. I come from accounting, financial management, leadership, basically, quote, quote, and auditing background. There is also a pastor, just like I am. in my small hat that I wear in that sphere. And so each one of us had a role. And a 7-member committee facing numerous challenges and legal or other litigations in court, counter litigations in court, to try to reason out and make sense so that the court system can be shortened, because it was a very lengthy process. Accusations and counter accusations, litigations and counter litigations. But we said, no, hey, we can't proceed like this. We have to be voices of reason. We have to ensure that we bring order so that people at least see reason and remove some of the court cases which were not necessary, so that the process of the threat that is existing can be mitigated. So that is one specific live example, of getting every voice heard and seeing sense into it, than a one person or few individuals giving control and we are ending nowhere. And leadership is not about personalities. It's about principles and policies. Yeah. And I can go on and on, but allow me to have you seek any further clarifications and even ask more questions. Yeah. Right.
So my next question would be, with your background in servant leadership and moral integrity, what key message do you hope readers take away to build more adaptable and engaged communities?
So the key message, there are quite a number of messages, but one of the key message is just one shift. We should stop asking who is the leader and start asking who can we lead, how can we lead together? So I would summarize it that way. Let us stop asking who is the leader and start asking how can we lead together? How can we work together and help whoever is representing us in one way or another? Yeah. And so, in saying so, I mean, just to make it a bit more clearer to readers, is that let us not command, let us collaborate, let us not control, like we are insecure when we have opportunities to lead. But let us trust even the people whom we lead or who are around us in our leadership roles. Let us not think of titles. Let leadership seek the title, not the leader seeking the title. Let us contribute, and let us not just be followers, but let us be collaborators and co-leaders, in other words. Thank you.
My pleasure, sir. I think what I could fathom, and if I may not add to that, but if I may elaborate on that from what I understood, is that we are so used to the concept of looking forward to the leader, to that one leader, that we forget ourselves at how to take initiatives, maybe at the small scale, at our levels, and we are trapped in the cycle of this dependence on that one particular leader, forgetting that change begins with us.
Yes, correct.
Right, sir. So
Correct.
moving forward to the last question of today's podcast, could you tell us about your journey with Exceller Books in bringing your book from draft to publication and how they made the process easy for you?
Wow, Exceller. First when I saw Exceller publishers, I was like, wow, this could be a very excellent publishing company. And indeed it is. So my journey with Exceller, working with Exceller Books has been both refining and also rewarding. Refining in the sense that the process of making my thinking come into a print book or any other form of a book. And then rewarding because the outcome is so much fulfilling and satisfying. Exceller books have brought professional rigor to the manuscript. And my main editor, Anjita Ganguly, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but you'll forgive me.
It's correct, sir.
my accent from this side of the world. She was just very meticulous and patient. Patience, she has a finer attention to details that probably myself I overlook. And so he was quite patient with me, and also she's very insightful. Together with the teams that work around her, Exela also helped merge my financial, ethical, and spiritual perspectives into a coherent body of work that is the book itself. And just allow me say two more. One of the things again is that Exela respected my voice. Even with the so many back and forth, which basically came from my end, but they respected the voice in the book, the spirit in the book, while elevating the final output to a global publishing standard. And the design team, which I've already alluded to, did an exceptional job with the book cover and layout, design, and all that. And so I remain grateful. And this one, I say it on a lighter note, that Exela endured all my midnight edits. You see, a file is sent to me. And of course, the nature of my work, I cannot attend to it during the day. I know you people go to sleep. When you wake up with a version that has come. And that's what I'm calling midnight edits. And the philosophical detours, a one more thing moment. I had several moments of just one more thing, a one more thing moment, before I forget, something cropping up. And there were so many such moments, and I'm grateful for your patience. But I have now learned better. I learned better. My learning curve has increased. So the next publishing we are going to do, because this was the first and not the last, we already have one in the pipeline, but certain things are pending from my end to work on. As we will be publishing more, many more, the learning curve has already increased. The first time I felt like, I think there is something these people know that I don't know. I thought I wrote almost a most perfect book. But when it came to the publishing process, that's now when my eyes were opened and I learned so many things. So the journey reminded me of the book's message itself. As I close off, great work is never the achievement of one person. And I repeat, great work is never the achievement of one person. It is the harmony of many. And that's what the concept of the new era of leaderless leadership is all about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Ben. Thank you for sharing your wonderful, enriching insights on leaderless leadership. I'm sure the audience of the podcast would be glad to have a fresh take on the topic. Your book offers a compelling vision for more inclusive and resilient leadership models. I have the book with me now here, yeah.
Wow.
And for those who are interested to grab a copy, it is available in print on Amazon.com, Barnes and Noble, and Booktopia, and as well as in an ebook format on Google Play. Thank you so much again for joining us today and inspiring us to rethink and relearn and reshape the leadership models. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you
Have a
too.
really good day ahead. My
Thank
pleasure,
you
sir.
too. Thank you too.